Welcome back to the Late for Loadin podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with my co-host Josh, and on this week's episode, we have Nick Martin of Sleeping with Sirens, and it was an awesome episode.
One of my actual all-time favorite people that I had the pleasure of touring with. Dead serious.
Genuinely just an awesome dude and a great conversation. And right off the top, we get into how Nick grew up in actual paradise in San Diego, California, one of my favorite places in the entire world.
Can you imagine growing up on California burritos at your disposal whenever you wanted?
Nope, and I don't want to because I don't want to be depressed about the lack of delicious food in my life. So thank you.
Well, we came from crab cake, so
This is true. We've got our own thing. That's fine. We're moving on. We did all right. We did all right. But we also talk about how like legendary and influential just the San Diego music scene in general was, and what it was like for Nick to grow up there and kind of get to experience that in his younger formative years. And then we also did the old man thing of like reminiscing about what it was like to be part of our local scenes and like that kind of experience of being in a room with other people experiencing something in the moment together, you know, kind of something that it kind of feels like, you know, the younger generation isn't quite experiencing that whole thing the same way that we did growing up. But, you know, that whole community aspect of your local scene. And again, what it was like for him to experience that in San Diego.
Yeah, that whole sense of culture and community, right? And Nick grew up during the like hot years of the Southern California music scene.
Yep.
And then we went into something that's probably relatable to everybody that's been on the road as long as we were, that burnout in the music industry is extremely common. And, you know, sometimes burnout can lead you down a road to finding, you know, new passion and ventures that may end up working out for the better. You know, Nick, you know, got into some screen printing and then not necessarily burnout related, but, you know, taking a little bit of a break from Sirens, developed Charlie Royal, his coffee company. And, you know, we discussed and talked about the cold brew cans that are coming out pretty soon, which everybody should be excited about.
I mean, I'm excited. I'd be more excited if he sent us some to drink on the show. But again, I'm being selfish. So
pretty good option, though, Nick. Maybe we can have that conversation.
Yeah, Nick, if you want to have a talk, you know who to call.
We're available at any time, you know.
But ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway here is something that we keep running into in all these episodes is how important just being a good person is and being a good hang, and how that opens so much more, like so many more doors for you than like any sort of skill set ever will. Just being somebody that people like to be around.
Absolutely. I think being a good person and having a good person around outweighs any skill set any day of the week.
100%.
I'd much rather have a guy around that's awesome and great to hang with, that can, you know, maybe isn't the best at his job, than have a guy that's the best at his job, but an absolute fucking pain in the ass to deal with.
100% all day, every day. That's exactly how I would handle a situation like that for sure.
Right.
Well, but anyway, on that note, I hope you enjoy this week's episode with Nick Martin of Sleeping with Sirens. This episode of Late for Loadin is brought to you by Rockabilia.com, your go-to destination for 100% official band merchandise. No bootlegs, no cheap knockoffs, just authentic gear straight from the bands you love. From metal and punk to classic rock and beyond, Rockabilia has over 500,000 items in stock. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, patches, and even rare, hard-to-find collectibles. If you're looking for something exclusive, Rockabilia drops brand new limited edition merch every month. So if you see something you like, grab it before it's gone. And in fact, we just placed an order for some new merch ourselves. I picked up a very, very cool Linkin Park Meteora hoodie. Josh, did you grab something?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple things. I got a super limited Eminem tour shirt, and then what you mentioned not missing out. I saw a Meatloaf tour shirt from 2005 that I really, really wanted. Unfortunately, I didn't have my size, so I missed out on that one.
Well, there you have it. Don't wait. Our friends at Rockabilia are hooking up Late for Loadin listeners with 10% off when you use code LOAD at checkout. So if your band tee collection needs a refresh and you want to support the artists who make the music we love, hit up rockabilia.com, load up your cart, and drop in code LOAD, LOAD, for that sweet discount. Now let's roll today's show. Well, before Josh starts getting too weird and fucking creepy over there,
let's just get weird. Get weird. Let's get fucking weird, boys.
Let's just jump right into it. Nick, thanks so much for joining us on the Late for Loadin podcast, man. Thanks for being here and chatting with us a bit.
Of course. Hey, congrats to you guys on the launch of this endeavor. I'm stoked to be a part of it. Stoked to see what you guys do.
Man, listen, this is going to be a special one for me because for some reason, me and Nick hit it off. Like when I got to tour with Sirens, that was my first. And Nick, I don't even know if you know this or not. That was my first long-term, more than one tour at a time job.
What's it? I don't know if I knew that.
Post-motionless.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, and it was like one of those things. It was a little bit scary because I had spent the most of my career with motionless, probably almost all of it. I did a couple one-offs here and there, but it was just to fill time. So you never know if you're like good at your job or if it just works for this group of people.
Yep.
So it was a little bit nerve-wracking, and man, it was just the time I spent with y'all was up there on my memory list, and
I appreciate it.
It was great, So I don't even know if you know this or not, but I did monitors for y'all for a really long time, and I am of no way, shape, or form an audio guy.
You could have pulled us. Because
I tell people that all the time. I don't know how the fuck I did it because I'm not an audio guy.
Hey, you were faking it till you make it type of
it worked.
Situation.
It was great. So
no, but like you were saying, you were definitely. I'm sure you guys can attest to this too. Like being on the road, like it's not easy, and not everyone clicks. Not everyone gets along, or maybe you do get along with people, but it's not.
That's actually come up in a few episodes now too. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you make those special connections, like I did with Josh on tour, this I'm sure it's happened to you guys where you got some new people out on the road. You're touring with like a new crew, new band, whatever it is, and then there's just some of those people that within like the first 15 minutes of hanging out, you're like, oh, like this is my homie for life, Yep, and like that sounds a lot because that doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, especially within our industry, it goes a long way. Like, and it means the world to you. Like it makes what you do every single day that much more enjoyable. Like when you're around people that for sure you click with and you're cool with, but when there's like those homies, like you, Josh, like when you have like those people out with you, man, it makes you just enjoy and love what you do exponentially more. So I appreciate the hell out of you, dude. Always have.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I tell people who want to get into like the crew side of stuff that like ask, any tips you have on like getting into the industry or whatever, into touring. And my first thing is like, you have to realize before you even get out there that like more than half of it is not about your skill set at whatever job you want to do. And it's almost like, I would even go, it's probably 90% about being a good person to hang out with. Like I will take somebody that is maybe a little less skilled in their job, but if they're a good hang, I'll take them all day, every day.
I am 100% proof of that. God damn it!
Yeah,
because I toured with Sirens for a year and a half, and I'm not an audio guy. I can fake my way through it, but I do not know how to. If you put me out with a band and I had to go set up a show from scratch by myself, I quit.
I'm going home.
I quit. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if y'all can tell or not. My mouth is fuck. I went to the dentist and orthodontist today. This is a long story, but she put some caramel flavored fluoride on my teeth, and it is awful. And my mouth is dry. So if I'm like smacking my lips or something,
I can't wait to have to edit out all of the fucking terrible mouth noises you're gonna make for the next hour.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I keep trying to drink. Like I gotta wash this shit down. It tastes horrible. Anyway, sorry, that's my rant.
Nick, where did you grow up?
Born and raised in San Diego.
Oh, no, paradise, actual paradise.
Dude, I know. That's what everyone always says. Everyone in the band also. But, I mean, I live in LA now. I've been here for a little over 8 years, I think. And every time I go through San Diego, everyone in Sirens is like, dude, how did you leave San Diego? Like, how did you leave this place? Yeah, it's such a beautiful city. And I'm fortunate that, throughout my career of touring, like knowing that I got to go home to San Diego was always just the best feeling in the world. I mean, Southern California in general, I'm obviously biased towards that, but yeah, growing up in San Diego was incredible, man. It's just a vacation city,
So being in LA now, you were safe from the fires and all that?
Yeah, I was. Fortunately, what was crazy with all of that was I was actually in Philadelphia the whole time because we've been working on a new record, and I literally the day I flew to Philly, the fires broke out. I think 2 days later. And then I was gone for 2 weeks. So then by the time I got home, everything had been cleared up. So I literally just missed the whole thing. But there was a few fires that were pretty close to my area, and it was a little terrifying. I had a lot of friends that were going through it. Had to evacuate, had to do the whole thing. But fortunate that didn't really have a whole lot of damage here. So
is it over now? Because in Florida, we don't. If it's not on CNN, we don't know about it. So.
Yeah, no, it's been over. Yeah, unfortunately, we've got a good downpour of rain over the last few weeks. Right now, the weather is beautiful. It's like 78 degrees out. Can't complain. Yeah,
totally.
But yeah, it's good. We're good.
That's wild. Yeah. I'm an East Coast guy. You had the similar experience of me of watching from the opposite coast and going, I can't believe this is real right now. It did it legitimately looked like you were watching something. I mean, we said this. Yeah, it 100%.
Yeah, it didn't seem real. And then when you're talking to people that have lived in LA like their whole lives, and for them to say, I've lived here forever, this is the worst I've ever seen it, that said a lot. Because we're used to this. Like every single year, we get brush fires all the time. But then when it was on like that magnitude, was definitely jaw dropping and just sad as fuck. You know,
man, awful.
Well, going back to hopefully a happier time. So growing up in San Diego, I mean, San Diego's got a pretty legendary music scene. When did you get into music and kind of find your way into the music scene yourself?
When I got into music, those are like the earliest memories I have as a child. Really fortunate that my dad was just the most eclectic music listener, and that's to this day has the biggest vinyl collection of anyone I've ever met. And we're talking
really?
I can't put a number on it, and it's one of those things like I bring like friends over to be like, you got to see this collection, and then they come over with like, oh, you weren't kidding. You're talking thousands and thousands.
Damn.
Like there's shelves and shelves of music, but I grew up on everything. I grew up literally, when I say everything, I grew up on classical music. I grew up on classic rock. My dad got me into punk rock. My dad got me into metal, 80s music, and then like mariachi music. Listen to cumbias on my mom's side of the family. Like I was exposed to so much music all the time. My dad was just like the DJ at every party. And just playing so much music. But it was definitely like early on in my life. I look back now, and I was just always that person that wanted to look at in the vinyl at everything and read the credits and read the lyrics and who.
And that's part of the experience.
This. It is, yeah. But I'm sure same for you. Like as a musician, though, I started processing music differently than like my friends or my family would. Like I could listen to a song and be like, wow, did you hear that little thing that they did before going to the bridge? I'm like 8 years old, like thinking about these things.
Yep.
And just being like transfixed on those things and just being so intrigued of like, how did they create this? How, listening to Queen and just being like, how did Freddie Mercury, have these insane, 20-part vocal harmonies and just being so like into that and then like listening to the Beatles and like my mind was blown, and my dad got me into the Clash and the Sex Pistols and the Ramones, and that sent me down the whole punk rock path. And then when I was like 11, 12 years old, like really getting into MTV, and that just like that made me want to be in a band, like watching Green Day, Metallica, Nine Inch Nails, and Pantera.
Those were the good days of MTV too, where you could come home after school, turn on TRL, and still see a band on the countdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly it. And that just like opened everything for me. And I saw Nirvana and just wanting to do that. And then growing up in San Diego, like you said, just fortunate. When I was in, I think the 7th or 8th grade was when Blink came out with their first record, Cheshire Cat, and I was like, this is the coolest band ever.
Huge.
And are they from out there too?
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, they're from
I didn't know that. Okay,
Diego,
cool.
Yeah. And,
oh wow, I didn't know that.
And then getting into bands like Unwritten Law and like local punk bands like Swindle, and I just immediately in high school just wanted to go to shows every weekend. It didn't matter who was playing. I would just go. I didn't
the
care.
Environment.
That was it.
Yeah.
I just got so sucked into the punk rock scene and just feeling something, and obviously being a teenager, just angsty and everything else that shit just like drove home for me. So just wanted to start being in bands after that. So I started a band, my first band in high school, and that was it from there. Like haven't looked back.
Yeah.
We had this conversation a couple times because I often wonder if, and I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I wonder if music is absorbed the same way today as it was when we were growing up. And certain people have said yes. I'm
actually interested to hear Nick's viewpoint on this,
because the
last person we asked was Balls, who's no longer in music, and I'm curious to hear how he feels about it being someone who's currently working on a record.
So what caught my attention with what Nick said was that he used to, read the inserts and all that good stuff, because that was where the question came from, is that back in those days we would fully absorb the music part of it, but also the artwork, the lyrics, all of that stuff. And I don't know, with today where it's primarily streaming, kids don't even necessarily have that opportunity.
Some people may not even see the artwork for the music they're putting out.
That too. They see the thumbnail, right?
And even that, they might not even see that. They're just flipping through their phone.
Right. And so with that being said, like the example that I gave is that I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So when I bought a CD, it would last me, quite a while. So I would be forced to listen to it from front to back over and over and over again, and then also absorb the lyrics and the artwork. And kids don't really have that opportunity today. So is it just this generation, or are we old, or are they absorbing it in a different way, or are they not given the opportunity to absorb it the same way that we did and our past generations did?
I mean, I just firmly believe that there was just such a massive shift when things went digital, when things were able to be streamed, when you're able to just buy a song at a time. Like, I feel like that just changed everything. And then now with the digital age and social media, all of us, I'm sure you're the same way. And I hate to admit it, but like the attention span is quicker now. If people don't sit down like we did back in the day and you weren't on your phone, you weren't watching something else, like you were just literally like headphones on and just like reading through the insert of a vinyl or a CD and just being fully absorbed in that. Now it's just changed, like that. The whole environment and atmosphere of music now is just so different. And I've battled with that as a musician for God knows how long now. And I have to find that balance of like not being the old Scrooge who's like, it needs to be like this and fuck everyone else that does it this way.
It's a very hard mindset shift after you've done it one way for so long. Just, it almost feels like the rug's been pulled out from underneath you and you have to like completely start over. It can be tough.
And what's sad is that I wish that like current generations could experience like what we experience. And it's not of like, I'm old and you need it, this is the way it should be. Like, I genuinely just from like a musical loving standpoint, just would love for people to be like, oh, if you could just like experience it this way. Like, I promise you,
understand.
It's so good and so special. And like,
it felt magical in a way, for sure. Yeah, and it feels like a little bit of that is gone in some way.
It is. And like, now we as artists have to like figure out those new avenues and those new ways to engage people and for people to, I don't know, enjoy art differently and not just doing it on these headphones and not, really diving into the artistic, like you said, the artwork and the people that went into making the record. And, I wish that we could, but like you said, there's just, we just have to find different ways.
Do you guys even do like, we talked about this too before, but do you guys even do personal thank yous and all that good shit anymore, or is that gone?
I feel like it's been always up to me to like put that together at the end of records. And it's and it sucks because those are things I used to read.
Absolutely.
Like Metallica used to always like do like funny like midway through their thank yous, it'd be like, and a fuck you to our shit bus driver. Like, you know, like, but see, that was like fun. Like that made it like you wanted to read every line because you could insert. And I think I still kind of do that with our thank yous, but you want people to read that because you want people to see who you appreciate and who like really put their heart and who backs you and who supports you and who was a part of this record. I think like that's important for people to have an understanding of that and see that at least, and for the people that have worked on the record to feel, you know, that they're mentioned, that they're acknowledged.
Right.
So I still do it, but it's like, who reads it?
I'm gonna feel really shitty and old saying this, but man, I miss the old times.
I do too. I do too.
You were talking about going to shows. It didn't matter who was playing. It was part of the environment and the community. And man, we did the same thing.
Yep,
dude. It changed my life, and that changed my life. That's how I found out about the Bouncing Souls. That's how I found out about AFI. That's how I found out about all these bands. I'm sure at some point I would have found out and listened to, but. Like, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Is like, I remember like that moment though, like going to see AFI when Shut Your Mouth came out and had only heard one song, half of a song, and then going there and my whole world just changing in one night. Like 1 hour set just completely shifted like everything for me. So to like have that experience of like not knowing really who they were, then just showing up and then having my mind and my whole life just completely blown. Like, fuck, you can't you can't fake that or manufacture that.
There's no
price on that. No. And it's like such a beautiful moment. You know?
Like you said, you probably would have come across those bands at some point, but who knows if you would have had the same reaction to finding them, because there's, you know,
or it would have meant that much,
right? And it's like, you know, that a great song is a great song whether it's recorded or you're seeing it live, but there is definitely an energy and a magic in a show setting that you like when you discover a band for the first time. Like, or even for instance, there's bands that like I've been, you know, okay, I've appreciated them, right? But then you go see them live and you're like, oh, this completely changes everything for me. Now I love this band. Or I've even gone from bands that I have straight up said, I don't think I like this at all. And then you see it in a live setting and you go, now this makes sense to me. Now I love this band. And that's happened to me plenty of times also. You just, there's no replacement for a live show. There just isn't.
No, not at all. And there was like, and I don't know if people, again, this kind of goes to the streaming music and how that's all absorbed now, but like, do people just go to shows on the weekend not knowing who they're going to see anymore? Like, does anyone just go to like a local venue and just be like, I don't know who's playing this weekend, but let's just go see.
This came up in Ball's episode.
Just go hang out
too, because Ball's bought a venue and he's trying to like bring back the scene in Scranton, or be a part of bringing back the scene in Scranton. And we were talking about how back in the day in Scranton, like, you know, a couple hundred people would show up to a show. I grew up in a very small town in Maryland, like 40 minutes ish outside of Baltimore. I'm literally surrounded by farms, and there was one VFW type place that we would play our shows. And it literally didn't matter who was playing, what day of the week it was, school year, not school year, summer, snowing outside, whatever. 200, 300 people would come every show, no matter what, always.
Didn't matter.
But you know, at some point, people just stopped coming. They just stopped for no particular reason. They just stopped.
It has to be the way that social media and video games and things like that are starting to take over the mind. And I'll give you an example. My son got into Fortnite a little bit ago, right? Dude, it changed his whole mindset. Like, we had to take it away.
That's my son with Minecraft. We're dealing with the same thing.
We took all that shit. My son right now is on zero electronics. He can watch TV and movies, and that's it. He's got no YouTube, no... Because
damn, you cut the cord on it all.
Oh, bro, we had to. We had to. He has never gotten in trouble in school. He is always wanting to go play soccer and always participating. And all of a sudden, he started playing Minecraft. And dude, Fortnite, and we saw almost an instant shift. And he didn't want to do anything but sit in that room. He would come home and go straight to the motherfucker.
Damn, it's like addiction.
So we took it away. He was pissed at us for the first day, but dude, after the next 2 days, maybe my wife is like, I don't know if he's going through a detox or what, but he's just been like perfect. and he's out in the garage practicing his foot skills, out in the yard, practicing soccer again, like excited to go to practice. And he's like, I'm trying to earn Fortnite back. I'm like, well, we're going to talk about that. We ain't even close to that yet. So we gotta, but speaking of your parenting and, you know, you were talking about your dad with all that stuff with the vinyl and all those things and bringing you up around music. When you decided that, like, man, I'm going to be in a band and this is what I'm going to do. Like, were they supportive, or what was the feelings there?
Yeah, they were actually really, really supportive. But they were still wanting to make sure that I was going to be okay. So
Sure, that's fair.
They didn't push the backup plan, but they would bring it up. They'd be like, hey, like, if this doesn't pan out, like, you should consider community college. Like, you should like make sure you have something else to fall back on potentially if, like, this doesn't work.
I got that a lot too.
Yeah, and there was support. They were like, my parents still to this day both wear like all of my band merch, and that's like every band I've ever been in. Like, I'll see my dad in like an old Underminded hoodie. My mom would wear like a drug shirt, or, you know, my dad would be rocking Sirens. Like, so they're super supportive. And
they come to shows too.
They do, yeah.
Cool.
And I remember the moment when they finally were like, okay, like, just do music. And we played. They used to have these huge New Year's Eve shows in San Diego back in the day. And we played at the Sports Arena, which is next door to Soma. And
yeah.
And that year it was like Blink and Pennywise, and I had Strung Out, like a bunch of other like bands, and it was massive. You know, like there had to have been 10,000 people there, something like that. Oh. And I remember like the moment where I was on stage and I looked over and like both my parents like jaw dropped. My mom was like teary eyed, and I was like, I did it. Like, this is like, they get it now, you know, and it was cool having that moment. But I was fortunate that my parents have always been super supportive in it. You know, they see like, I think more so they saw the kind of therapy it was for me growing up.
Absolutely.
And when I started being in a hardcore band and screaming into a mic, like at first they're like, what the fuck are you doing? But then but then really understanding, like, that mellowed me out. Like I found like my therapy of like, I didn't know how else to like let out all this angst I'm feeling, this anger I'm feeling in politics, whatever it is. And then I was able to just like get into a mic and just scream my fucking head off. And they saw that it helped me, you know, like the hardcore scene helped me, and being in the punk rock scene, like helped, you know, shape my political and ethical things. Like, you know, I was being exposed now to, you know, like listening to the Dead Kennedys and understanding the whole Reagan era, and like suddenly like being involved in that, but understanding it on a different level, and being able to like just put that down on paper and be around like-minded people. And like, I don't know, it opened my mind up, but also was just the biggest form of therapy ever for me. Still is.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we feel that sense of community and inspiration from what some may see as such a chaotic scene.
Yeah, it's scary on the surface for sure.
And you can't explain. Well, okay, you can try to explain, but nobody's going to get it unless they experience it.
Once you're in it, you realize it's just all about like family and supporting each other. And
it is.
I know on the outside, people are like, they're just screaming into a mic and everyone's just beating the shit out of each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you realize that once you dig into it, that it's just so much deeper. And there's like so much love and kindness and unity that comes with it. But yeah.
Even going to shows and getting in the pit back in the day, it was like a healthy way. Like when we were going, it was more push pits than
well, to be fair, you and I started on the new metal side of things, so
yeah, but still, but you know, it was more push pits and things like that. But that was like a healthy, clean way to go fight, basically.
It was, and you get knocked down, and then
you get knocked down,
people are lifting you up, like,
and then you knock people down, and you start feeling good, and then when you leave there, you're tired, but you just let all that aggression and anger out in a safe, clean way.
Yep, absolutely.
To where, you know, I don't know.
It's a beautiful thing. I love it.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Love it.
Do you remember the song or album that was like, this is it? I got to go do this. I'm going to go do this. Or was it a band in particular or a moment?
I mean, I think it had to have been either Nirvana or Green Day or Metallica. I feel like those three like were such an important like trifecta of bands that made me like feel like, God, I want to like do that. Like as soon as every time I saw Billy Joe Armstrong on MTV, just having fun. Like when I watched like Woodstock '94, the whole like mud fight, and he's just laughing and he's just covered in mud. I'm just like, I want to do that. Like that's like those are those moments where I was like, I don't want to do anything else. Like that looks so cool.
Did you verbalize it, or was it something that was just in your brain?
Maybe it was just in my brain, you know. And I was such a quiet, introverted kid growing up that the thought of like ever being on a stage was like the most terrifying thing to me. But also, I was just like, I don't know if I could ever do that. I couldn't even public speak. Like thinking about speech class in high school, like gave me acute anxiety. Like, and I would just get up there and my voice would be shaking. Like that was
my
terrible.
worst fear in school.
I would just skip. I wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I mean, even now today, you know, like I've been very fortunate to play some big shows, and I can walk out there all day in front of thousands of people with a guitar hanging on me. But you ask me to talk into a microphone, game over. Game over.
You're doing great, dude. You're doing
We
great,
both have to go on a panel at launch, and I haven't verbalized this one time yet at all. I'm terrified.
That one doesn't bother me because I'll just pretend like I'm just talking to the people on the stage.
Because you're cool there?
No.
Because you're cool? Because you're a big shot there?
No, because then I'm just talking to the people on the stage. You know, whatever.
Okay. I'm going to be I'm going to tell you right now, I'm fucking terrified.
I just think about, you know, like Vigil or Kellen, like going out and like having to address all these people with all of their eyes on them and having to keep like, nope, I'm good. I'll just play the guitar and stay out of that.
And you know, I admire them for that, having that kind of confidence, even if it's faked or whatever it is, like to be able to command a crowd, but be able to just like talk to them. Like that's a whole skill set in itself.
Yep,
you know,
absolutely is.
But yeah, growing up, I was like, there's no way I could ever do any of that.
That's what makes the difference between a front man and a singer, though.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know? You're absolutely right. And there's great singers. Difference. Like recently-ish, I saw, I don't want to say who it is, but I saw a pretty massive artist, like tons of singles, great songwriter, great records, like great pop artist. But when I saw him live, I was like, this guy is just not a front man. Like he just doesn't have, like, he was like super awkward, didn't know how to talk to the crowd. Like there's just it's two different things. But when, you know, someone can possess both, like, you look at Freddie Mercury, who was like, in my opinion, greatest frontman ever, where he could command a crowd at Wembley by just like his hands, you know, like he's just
probably go watch that.
It's like otherworldly. Like you just like, how does someone possess that? It's like so many things.
Life Aid? Is that on the Life Aid?
Yeah, that was it.
What is it? Live Aid?
I think it's Live Aid.
Live Aid.
Yeah.
DVD.
It's incredible. Like it'll blow your mind just watching how he can command a crowd, and the person sitting the furthest away in the fucking nosebleed seats is still like, he still has
right there
on
stage with them.
That's just amazing. I'm always just inspired by.
I actually have never seen. I love Queen. I think it's like a sin to not like Queen, but
agreed.
I have never watched him perform.
What,
dude?
Never. I don't believe that I have.
After this, I'm gonna send you a bunch of videos.
You should.
You have to watch them.
Please. I think I've seen snippets here and there, but I don't think I've like actually sat down and watched a Freddie Mercury performance.
That's wild.
Oh. It'll blow your mind. I mean, I have Queen tattooed on my chest. Like the band, amazing. Like changed my fucking life. Yeah, Freddie Mercury is the best.
I mean, they're incredible. I went to his house in London once.
No,
that's a crazy sentence.
What? That's
not inside. We couldn't get in or anything, but it's right near that Tesco. You know, in London, when you park, you get there.
You've already ruined the story. It's not as cool as I thought it was.
Never mind.
It's walking distance from a Tesco.
I walked past a house in London. Cool story. Great.
Yeah.
No,
I'm thinking like you went
Freddie
inside.
Mercury's house.
Like,
no.
That's what I was thinking too.
In his bed.
No. You can't. I don't think you could do that. But you can go to it. I mean, there's stickers all over the gate, and all that stuff.
That's
it's cool.
Crazy.
I mean, that's so cool.
I took a picture in front of it. I think. I don't know.
So have you always been a guitarist then? Did you start playing in bands as a guitar player?
Yeah, I always played guitar. My cousin, when I was around 9 or 10, I used to go over to my aunt and uncle's house, and my cousin, she was a few years older than me. She was an insane piano player. So they had a piano in their house and also had an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar. And I remember just being gravitated immediately to the guitar and just watching her play piano. And she'd play at all the family functions and everyone would be partying, all the kids would be playing in the backyard. But I was always just standing next to her, just like transfixed, just mind blown. And I just started picking up their acoustic guitar, just taught myself.
Wow.
And then my dad got me my first acoustic guitar from Goodwill. It was like $20. And just that's where I just learned everything. Just started playing anything I could.
So did it come natural or was
pretty
it a
natural?
I
I feel like I picked up guitar pretty fast. Yeah.
Fuck.
And it was just from watching MTV. I would just
Wow.
like whatever, where I would just see like, where's Billy Joe's hands at on the guitar,
Right.
And I would just try to mimic that. And I was like, okay, like I can figure this out.
I have tried to play guitar so many times and I cannot figure it out. I think it's one of those things you got to learn as a kid because you're impressionable and Chris, how old were you when you switched?
I mean,
because Chris used to play drums originally. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I started as a drummer when me and Josh were in a band together. But much like I had an uncle that played guitar, and he was my idol. Like I would do very similar to you. He had a very early form of a home studio, and I used to go sit in his basement with him and just watch him rip guitar for hours and just be like,
that rules.
I was content just sitting there for hours with just watching, and I was like mind blown by him. And so at some point, I don't know, I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade when I got an acoustic guitar for Christmas. Yeah. And I would just, when I wasn't able to play, I would come home from school, play drums till somebody would be like, hey, that's way too fucking loud. Knock it off.
Okay, I'm gonna go play guitar.
Right. And then I'd go sit in my room and play guitar. And then at some point in high school, I just said, all right, enough with drums. I'm only going to play guitar now. But
drums are just obnoxious.
They're also fun. They're also fun.
We got my son a drum kit. He wanted to do it. He quit because he decided he wanted to play soccer. But when my dad was like, I'm going to get him a drum kit, I was like, no, the fuck you're not. You keep it at your house. And then we settled on an electric kit, which was much quieter.
That's cool.
But he didn't take on to it.
What's wild is I've always been drawn to the drums, and I don't know how you are, Chris, with writing music, but I think more like a drummer.
Same.
So I typically will have more of a rhythm going in my head.
Yep.
And then I'll write guitar to that. And I can program drums and I can tell a drummer exactly what to play. Like, this is what I want. Hit the toms here, do this.
Yep.
But you put me behind a kit and I always say I'm like a monkey fucking a football. Like, I don't know what I can't use all of my, my brain just doesn't do it.
Right.
And to this day, I'm an idiot behind the kit. And I wish I've always wanted to be able to rip on drums. It's one of those instruments.
Basic beat or anything?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah,
okay,
but of course I'm like, give me the double kick. I'm just trying to rip,
Well, you know what? You got the more important skill because most guitar players can't think like a drummer, and so when they program drums, they just program unrealistic shit, and it's a fucking nightmare. So you know what? To the drummers of the world, they're probably very happy to hear that you can at very least think like a drummer.
Yeah, and so it's always like the biggest compliment from Maddie, our drummer, when I send just a rough demo and I program some drums. He'll go, mate. He's like, these drums are perfect. Like, I love this. And I go, wow.
I nailed it. I did it. I fucking did it.
I got this. This.
So were your early guitar hero inspirations, would you also say that would be like the Green Days and the Metallicas of the world? Or who are the guys that you were felt like you were most identifying with as a guitar player specifically?
I think probably Billy Joe from Green Day and Kurt Cobain. I think those two, I was like, man, I just want to play guitar like that. But still to this day, my favorite guitar player is Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
So my dad would always play his albums. I was just like, he's the greatest guitarist ever. That's just such a different breed of guitar player that I could never attain. He's just, there's those guitar players that play and the guitar is like an extension of them. It's
right.
And you can't. I don't know how else describe that. And not everyone has that. I don't have that. I mean, you can express through your guitar, but there's players like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, even John Mayer, those kind of players where there's something else flowing through them that allows them to do what they're doing, because that's like they're fucking aliens to me.
Yep.
So I always loved that, and I grew up like loving the blues and loving jazz and rock and all that. So Stevie Ray is probably my favorite, but I think more so is wanting to emulate Billy Joe and Kurt Cobain for sure.
Yeah, fair.
What about you?
I mean, I come at stuff from like the more metal side of things. So like,
Yep.
You know, Josh and I bonded early on over like new metal and stuff. But even before that, like my dad's.
We never bonded.
All right. Yeah. We're still trying to figure out how to connect with each other 20, 40 years later.
That's what this podcast is right now.
Yeah,
right. The podcast is so you guys can
right.
We're trying.
But my dad started me on like Metallica. Like Metallica is hands down my favorite band of all time. And like
changed my life, dude. And Justice for All is like
that is my favorite Metallica record of all time. But it started with the Black Album for me. And then I worked backwards from there. But so like James Hetfield is like that. Dude. He's my god. You know, like I don't care so much these days to be like a shreddy type guy. Like I'm much more about like just being a solid rhythm player and writing a good song. You know, so if I had to pick one guy that I just want to be like, it's Hetfield all the way.
Dude, he is like, I feel like he's an underrated guitar player.
Absolutely.
He is an incredible guitar player.
Yep.
And the things that he can play while he's singing is like, my mind has always been blown by him. And I remember I used to always watch that Black Album documentary a year and a half.
Yep. I've watched it probably a dozen or more times in my life. What a game changer of a documentary. But watching him play, I remember when he was those scenes where he's playing The Unforgiven, and he's just floating around on a classical guitar. I'm like, bro, like you would think he was classically trained and not some guy who like couldn't tell you what notes he was playing. I mean, he totally couldn't. No, he's not classically trained at all. He's fully self-taught.
Wow.
Fooled me, because he is, underrated in my opinion.
100%.
But it just, what an insane songwriter though.
Yeah.
I love Metallica.
He's god tier in every way, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I was never really a Metallica guy.
Well, that's because you're dumb.
That's
Come
fine.
on, man.
I was a Pantera fan.
That's fair.
Love Pantera.
Look, Dimebag is on my Mount Rushmore too. You know, I don't know. I like some Metallica songs. Like they have some great songs, but I just was never like I've never listened to every single one of their records front to back. Like I was just not my thing. I mean,
you should.
I mean, I agree with that, but I can see the other side of it too. And
I just was never a big fan of the voice that much.
Well,
and
okay,
I was
now we can't talk anymore, and this episode's over. Actually, you're out, and Nick is now my co-host, and you can get the fuck out of here.
That makes my life easier. I don't know. For some reason, it was like the growly rasp. It just wasn't my thing. I don't know.
Never ever talk bad about Papa Het in my presence ever again.
I'm not talking bad about Papa Het. I'm just telling you that it wasn't my thing.
All you're saying is you have bad taste, but we'll move on now.
I'm starting to reevaluate you as a human talking about Papa Het.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick,
he is our Lord and Savior of all that is rock and metal.
Enough of you. Do you remember your first band? It was Diaper Rash. Is that what it was called?
Diaper Rash is my first band in the 7th or 8th grade. Yeah, and we played a talent show.
What kind of music?
We played 3 songs, and at the talent show we played 3 songs. We played "When I Come Around" by Green Day. Yep. We played "Wasting Time" by Blink-182, and the third song was just a song that we made up, and I just was yelling gibberish into a microphone.
Sick.
But then we started learning covers. We were learning like Lagwagon songs, like a lot of Fat Wreck stuff at the time. But we never played any other shows. Like that was it. And
that was it.
Yeah. And then once I got into high school, that was like really like my first band, and that was Underminded. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Diaper Rash was just like a stupid little
flash in the pan.
I got to be honest.
Yeah,
Diaper Rash is a fucking sick name, though.
What a name! I was going to say that. I didn't want to interrupt him, but what a fucking name!
It's so good.
God,
I love it.
So ridiculous.
Who came up with that?
Honestly, you know what? It actually might have been my dad.
Fuck yes.
I think so.
so
Yeah,
good.
I'll have to
What
ask
an
him. But
answer.
I think
That's
that
so good.
he threw that one out there, and the band was like, "Yeah, it's a diaper."
Yeah, I agree.
I back it.
I would have also,
I fully back it. What? So I mean, we've already discussed how legendary the local scene was in San Diego, but like, what was it like starting out playing in the shows and not just attending them? Like, was it a welcoming scene, or did you kind of have to like fight to get your place within the scene? Today's show is sponsored by Bestronix Pro Audio. Let's be real. Your rig is only as solid as the cables running through it. Whether you're touring the world or building out your dream setup at home, you need quality cables that won't let you down. That's where Bestronix Pro Audio comes in. BTPA specializes in full tour rig builds, custom cabling solutions, and if you're the hands-on DIY type, they've got bulk cable and connectors so you can wire up your own setup exactly how you want it. Everything they make is road-tested, built to last, and trusted by the pros. And because you're part of the Late for Load In crew, BTPA is giving you 10% off your order. Just use the code LFLI10 at checkout and save on the best cables in the business. So don't let bad cables kill your tone or ruin your set. Hit up btpa.com, lock in that discount, and keep your rig dialed and ready for the road. What's up, Road Crew? We want to take a second to tell you about an awesome program for music professionals called Sight for Sound from the team over at Neven Eyewear. If you're out on the road, whether you're a touring musician, a crew member, or working at a venue, this is for you. Neven is offering free prescription eyewear to the people who keep the music world spinning. We're talking high-quality frames, legit prescription lenses, and zero strings attached. Just solid gear to help you see clearly while you're out there doing what you do best.
Neven was founded by John Strauss, a guy who came up in the metal and hardcore scene, so he knows exactly how tough and thankless this life can be. Sight for Sound is his way of giving back to the scene that shaped him, supporting the people behind the music with something as simple and vital as clear vision. As Chris and I know directly from working in the music industry for the majority of our adult lives, we know there are no benefits or retirement funds, so this support is vital. All you have to do is head over to neveneyewear.com, fill out a quick form, and if you qualify, your new glasses are on the house. That's it.
It's an awesome way to take care of the folks who take care of the music, so go check it out, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the road with perfect vision. We all know that music isn't just sound, it's connection, it's healing, it's everything when you're feeling lost. That's why Late for Load-In is partnering with Heart Support, the nonprofit founded by Jake Lurs of August Burns Red to bring real, free peer support straight to you.
Are you feeling down and need someone to talk to? Just text Late for Load-In to 1-512-647-2871 and get connected with someone who understands, someone who gets how music pulls us through the hardest times. It's totally free, totally judgment-free, and 100% about supporting you through the music we love.
And if you're in a good place right now, you can be part of healing the scene. Heart Support is looking for volunteer repliers, fans like you who want to help others through the power of music. You'll be trained to support fellow fans who are struggling and join a community built on connection, mental health, and the music that keeps us going.
And again, if you need support, text Late for Load-In to the number 1-512-647-2871. If you want to be support, sign up at heartsupport.com/volunteer. Together, we're making this scene stronger.
Today's episode is brought to you by you, our incredible listeners and patrons over at patreon.com/LFLIpod. By joining, you'll get early access to episodes, exclusive monthly giveaways featuring rare memorabilia from Josh and I's time on the road, and access to our patron-only music review and reaction live streams. But that's not all. You'll also get into the Late for Load-In Road Crew Discord, where you can connect with fellow fans, submit guest requests, and drop your questions for the show. The best part? It's just $1 a month. If you love what we're doing and want to help keep the show rolling, head over to patreon.com/LFLIpod and join the Road Crew today. Now, back to the show.
I felt like we actually found our like place in it pretty quick, and I've kind of told the story a few times throughout my life. But when we started Underminded, we started it in Vic and Mike Fuentes's house.
No way.
They're in Pierce Vale.
Yeah.
And so Mike was our first drummer.
Okay.
And so they were in a band at the time called Early Times, which went through a bunch of iterations till it got to Pierce Vale. And we would just go. Mike had everything set up in his bedroom. And it was his drum kit in the corner and amps just lining the walls. And then he had just like a tiny bed. And a few days a week, we would go over and jam for an hour and a half. And then right after we would jam, he'd stay in the room, and then Vic and the rest of the dudes would go in the room and jam and write music. And then we kind of really both kind of went into playing shows together. So, I mean, anytime Underminded played, early times played. So we were always just kind of working the scene on our
kind of tag team
like together. Yeah.
So
and
you guys go. So you go way back with Pierce Surveil. Then
we do. Yeah. And so these were the days where we'd still go to every single show on the weekend, but we'd flyer the hell out of it. So Vic was great of just cool. He was. I mean, he's still such a creative person, but he always created all the flyers. And we would do the same thing. We would just all be out there on the weekends, just always flyering.
Were you in the band when King for a Day was done?
No, I came into the band. It was like maybe a year after that.
Off topic. I just was thinking how crazy of a connection that would have been to have that.
It was weird. No, I got into Sirens. I'm probably within the year that after that song had come out. Yeah.
Did you ever want to quit music and get a real job?
I did it a few times. Yeah.
Really?
When I was in Underminded, I got completely burnt out on that, and I quit that. And at the time, I feel like every single time that I've quit the industry, something like pulls me back in.
Happened to me too.
Like when I quit Underminded, I remember like it was like a week or two after that. I got a message on MySpace from Craig Owens when he was in Chiodos, and he was like, "Hey, I heard your record. I love your scream. Like, you got to fly out and do some guest vocals on a song." And I was like, "All right, I guess so. I'm gonna do this." And then ended up like completely changing trajectory for me. You know, like that album ended up debuting at like number 2 or number 3 on Billboard, and suddenly I was on tour with them and doing guest vocals, and then I was like playing in other bands with him, like Cinematic Sunrise, and just kind of, and then started Isles and Glaciers, like a super group thing, and then that kind of got me into the band Drugs, and we did that for a year and a half, and then I got the definition of burnt out. It's like I never want to be in the industry again. Quit. Went and started a screen printing business in San Diego, and was loving that. And I had picked up a guitar. I was done. It's like I don't want to be in a studio. I don't want to be on stage ever again. And then one day I got a text from Kellen, and we weren't even homies. Like we're like acquaintances. You know, we met a few times. But Ron, our tour manager, was
It's funny because the entire time you've been talking about this, all I keep thinking about is all of my music industry relapses have been because of Ron. So continue.
And so Ron relapsed me.
Really? He relapsed me.
So at the time, the guitar player in Sirens was having a baby, and they needed someone to just fill in. And Ron and Bagel, it just threw my name out there, like, "Hey, like you should hit up Nick. Like he's not touring anymore. He's home, but you know, he's got the chops. Like he could crush this." Unfortunately, all the Sirens dudes were fans of all my previous bands, so they're like, let's see what happens. We'll hit him up. And at the time, I was pretty burnt out, and with the screen printing, because I was working like 16, 18-hour days, and
it's hard, man.
It is. You know what's up.
I tried that too,
dude. It's hard work.
It's hard work. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm kind of due for a vacation. So when they said, you know, do you want to go to Europe, UK for 3 weeks or whatever, you know, we'll pay you.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, I was like, paid vacation, let's go, you know. And fast forward 12, 13 years later, and now I'm in the band.
I'm like freaking out internally because Ron relapsed me also to go to the UK and Europe with Under Oath.
It's all Ron.
And Ron relapsed both of us to go to UK and Europe. Yeah. And the same thing for me. It was like, "Hey, we'll pay you to come on this Rebirth tour." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm ready."
Yeah, I'm not going to say no.
I'll be there.
I
wanted to see the show anyway.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that changed my life, you know? I remember like that first day flying to Nashville for rehearsals and being so nervous. And then we played one song, and I remember everyone just looking at me, and they're like, "Dude, we haven't heard the song played that tight ever. Like, that's cool." And that felt really good. But also, I had like immediately all that emotion from music and having that be my life just like knocked me over like a fucking shit ton of bricks. You know, just it's like, wow, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. You know? Like I can try to walk away. You know, the universe is just going to keep on bringing me back. When you
look back and you can kind of reflect on that now, do you think that it was Underminded doing it wrong that caused you to burn out? or was it different, or was it like what was the difference, or was it the time away and realizing what, you know, life after music was that made you realize, maybe this is what I wanted to go do?
I think it was all different reasons each time. I think like when I stopped Underminded, I was burnt and kind of, and this isn't talking trash about anybody in the band, but I felt like I was I was on a different page as far as like my motivation and my drive.
Sure.
Where I was like, I felt like I was kind of dragging people along. I probably wasn't the easiest person to be around at that time with like how driven I was, and just feeling like I wasn't on the same page with everybody. And I was like, I'm over this. I need to just, and it burned me out because I was just doing so much. And then with walking away after drugs, you know, that's a story in and of itself. But I just, the fun of it was sucked out for me, and that in every aspect, the studio, touring, being on a stage, like there were things within that band that just like it made it not fun for me. So I was like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. But been fortunate, you know, since being with Sirens, that, you know, just found the right people to do this with, that were if not more driven than me, that were if not more talented, that amazing to be around, easy to be around, felt like a family. Like you start thinking, you start valuing these other things as you get older. Like I'm 42. Then I've always just made the promise.
You don't look a day over 28 for the record.
Appreciate that.
True.
Appreciate that.
True.
Appreciate
You're
that.
making me look like shit. I'm only 35 and I'm like fucking graying, hair's falling out. Bro, there's fucking
everywhere, man. There's
perfect hairline, looking youthful as fuck. Jesus Christ.
You guys are sweet. But I just made that promise to myself as I got older doing this, is that I just have to enjoy who I'm around every single day. And it has to be fun. Like I've had to revert back to like why I started playing music and being in bands in the first place, of like if I'm not having fun, I need to just be doing something else.
Sure.
So I'm fortunate now just to be in a space where it's fun, and I'm grateful and fortunate every single day of my life, man.
You talked about as talented, or if not more talented, and I first of all, I love everybody, the current lineup and the old lineup, but
same.
Kellen is he's just an unbelievable singer.
Yes.
He really is unbelievable. And I got to listen to him firsthand when pretending to do monitors, and you know, he would have struggles with himself and be mad at himself, and I'm sitting there thinking
he's his own worst critic, man. Yeah.
It is we had many conversations about it, but like he would have what I thought was a spectacular performance, and he'd be upset at himself. And I'm like, man.
Yeah. He's just constantly striving to be the best version of himself. And I give him so much kudos for that, because he's gone through a lot personally and throughout me even being in this band, you know, and he, no joke, I can wholeheartedly, no bullshit, say that he sounds better now than he ever has. And I don't know how he does that. I don't know how he is able to just like tap into what he sounded like on like the first records, but better. Like his voice isn't like, he treats what he does as like such a craft and a gift. And I love him for that. It's like motivating. He's the healthiest he's ever been. His voice sounds better than ever has. I'm like, how do you do it? Like how?
Because at the level of success you guys have reached, I mean, it would be easy for him to just sit down and relax.
True.
At this point, and coast, right. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be easy. Like, fuck it. I already did this. Whatever. I mean, how many bands have you seen that when they got to this portion of their career,
they check out?
They check out and they just go get the paycheck, and they don't give a fuck how they sound. Like, fuck it, you know? There's one band in particular that I probably shouldn't name the name. I'll text you both later about it, but so you know who I'm talking about. But man, it's almost embarrassing to watch.
Dude, I've seen it happen so much, and I'm sure for you guys, like when you see that, it's a bummer, right? Because you're like, man, like there's so many people here that that love you and want to see you, and then for you to just be phoning it in is it's like the biggest fuck you.
Yep.
You know,
and to them, it's almost like, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating, but to me, it's like maybe them showing up is enough. But that's not.
There's ego. There's a lot of things that go into play with that, right?
Did you have any like mentors or older musicians who helped you along the way?
I did.
I had a guy called called Jesse Pollock. He was a screamer in a local band called Porno back when we were kids, and
they were the hot
he
shit,
would always,
at least to us back in the day.
He would always talk to me on AOL Instant Messenger, and I thought I was the coolest dude in the world. You know, I idolized the guy. He was fucking cool as shit. You know, I don't know. So I was curious if you had anybody like that.
Yeah, I had two guys that really helped me a shit ton, and really, I think both of them saw things in me and saw how driven I was, and really started teaching me like the back end, like the industry part of the business aspect of everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one was Joe Escalante from the Vandals. He was a bass player of the Vandals, and he owned Kung Fu Records, and he signed Underminded. He was the first person to sign my band, and really like took me under his wing, and took us on our first Europe UK tour. And at the time they had a revolving door of drummers, and on that tour it was split. One half of the tour Josh Freeze played drums, and then the other half was Derek, who used to be an Alkaline Trio, and both like insane bands.
Josh is like the drummer, like the session drummer.
Yeah, and at the time he was taking time off from playing with like Devo or something, like just insane, and really learned a lot on tour, and he's just a huge mentor. The other person was John Pebsworth, and he was a singer of a local San Diego ska band called Buck-09, and they had like a bunch of radio success locally, but he was running a venue at the time when Underminded first started playing shows, and he really, taught me so much about how booking shows worked and the etiquette of being in a venue, and it's just so many things. So like I attribute a lot of where I'm at today from those two people for sure.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome.
It's
cool when
you have somebody that can bounce shit off of.
Yeah, and I think too when guys see something in you that maybe you don't even know that is there yet, they are more inclined to want to help, especially if they see that you're interested and willing to learn, and not just some sort of like know-it-all kid who thinks that he's got it all figured out.
Yeah, and they let me feel comfortable, and there was never like a dumb question. Like no matter what it was, I could ask about it, and they would talk to me about it, and I always I appreciated that so much. But because of that, I think that really helped shape me to where I am today, because I feel like it's important for me to pay it forward to other musicians and to our fans that have a million questions about like, how do I start a band? Like, what do I do? How do I, how do we get fans? Like, how do we do all this? And there's no such thing as a dumb question to me, and sometimes when our fans do ask, like they feel kind of embarrassed. I'm like, you got to start somewhere. Like you got to ask somebody, right? So
it's like you don't know what you don't know. So therefore,
and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
I produce bands from time to time when we're off the road, and the bands I'm recording obviously always ask like, how do you think we should handle this? What is the best way to grow your band? To be fair, a lot of the times I lead with how you would do it now is completely different from like how I did it. So it's like I don't really know if I have the answers, but like much like you, like I feel like a lot of people took risks on me that ended up getting me to where I am today. And so like I do feel like it is important to, whenever I do have little bits of wisdom, I do try to pay that forward, because there's almost nothing I hate more than gatekeeping. And like,
don't get me started on gatekeepers.
I hate
it. Literally makes my blood boil. And like
in my side of the industry, there's a ton of that.
I can only imagine.
I'm sure there is.
So much of that.
I can only imagine.
And I fucking, it drives me nuts.
I just like,
it is what it is.
I want nothing more than to help as many people in any way that I can. And I just don't understand why you would operate any other way.
In my TM days, Kyle Borman was a huge, I don't know if y'all know Kyle Borman or not. He used to tour manage Asking back in the day, and he was a huge inspiration to me, I guess. And he was that guy for me. Like I would just go, hey man, can I share your production office? And I would just being around him, listening to him, not like I was trying to eavesdrop on his phone calls, but listening to the way he interacted with people and the just confidence that he led with, and just trying to learn and absorb. And he was always willing to. Thankfully, they had Ask and Emotionless had the same management, so we did the whole world with them, Europe, Australia, South America. So I got to really spend a lot of time with him, and I learned a ton from him, and he was always willing to teach. And it was because, and I always told my crew guys, and I tell young bands now, it's better to ask what you may feel is a dumb question than make a dumb mistake because you thought you knew.
Yep.
100,000%.
100%.
And that's the thing too. Like, and I don't know if it's ego or what it is, but it's okay to not know something.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
you sound like more of an asshole pretending to know when you don't than you would if you just asked.
True.
Oh yeah, that shit pisses me off.
True.
It's so dumb, dude. Like, what the fuck? Whatever.
And like, and passing your knowledge down to others and helping others and doing all that, like you said, and for both of you, like producing, managing, like you just want to see people win. Like,
that's it.
I'm not that person. I will acknowledge and admit that probably like in my 20s, like I was always like envious and jealous of like what other bands were doing and doing this. And I'd be like, why aren't we able to do that? Like, why aren't we doing these things? And now, like, anytime I see other bands post like the awesome festivals are playing or their song is hitting a radio and doing all that, like, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yep.
And like, I love seeing people win, especially within this industry, like, we're all in it to achieve the same things, but to have fun doing it. And if you can help others along the way and help them do those things and achieve things, like, I love when there's bands that we've taken out on tour that now could probably take us out on tour.
Yep.
I'm like, that's fucking sick. Like that.
Do you know one that pops in your head the most? Because I do. I don't know if they could take you out. I don't know if they could take you out on tour or not. But there's one there's two actually. That from when I was with you guys were opening.
Who's that?
Chase Atlantic.
Yeah.
And Palais.
Yeah. Yeah. They've both done fucking great.
Because Chase Atlantic is like, I heard they're just massive these days.
They are. They've gotten real big. I remember when we did the first, like, we did a world tour with Pierce 11 or 12 years ago, and we took out Beartooth and Paris.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And now, I mean,
Dude,
wow.
Josh
Caleb
and
is
I,
a legend. Yeah.
Josh TM'd Ghost Inside on our first little run of shows we did back in a bus. A Day to Remember took us out, and the tour was A Day to Remember.
Oh, yeah.
The Ghost Inside, Beartooth, Bad Omens opening.
Yep.
What a lineup, dude. Like, now if you put
That's
that
true.
together.
I forgot about that.
But it's like there's
festival.
there's not a world where Bad Omens plays below anyone on that lineup except for probably A Day to Remember, and even then they'd probably try to have a conversation about it. And to be fair, it would be a fair conversation to have.
That could be a co-headline.
Yeah. It's just it's crazy when that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, and there's like zero ego. I'm like,
yes.
yeah, like, that's awesome. Like,
I think that there's this like false narrative that I think is slowly dying, thankfully, but there's definitely for a long time there's this false narrative that like if another band succeeds, it means my band can't succeed. And it's like, no, there is plenty of room for everybody to succeed. So therefore you don't need to be resentful or jealous when someone else is getting something. Just because you don't get it that time doesn't mean you won't get it next time. It just means that maybe this time wasn't right for you. Just keep doing your thing and you'll be fine. It's like them taking that is not taking it away from you. It doesn't work like that.
No, if anything, it's motivating. And it's also just great to see. You're like, cool, like people are fucking killing it. Like,
yes.
And now, like, you see, like, it's been amazing to watch like a band like Bring Me, who now are become like the top line headliners at these festivals. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like they deserve that. Like, it's cool to see. It's cool that these bands that probably at one point were always written off as like, there's no way they could headline a Reading and Leeds. There's no way they could headline whatever it is. And then now they're doing it. You're like, fuck yeah, that's great for everybody, especially for our scene, and having it still doing what it's doing and growing more and more. Like, everyone benefits from that, and it's great to be a part of and to be rooting people on. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like, I love that.
We need that, man. This world needs that camaraderie versus the competition. It sucks.
Absolutely,
I agree.
When there's just I don't know. I wish it could. It when I was a kid growing up watching these tours happen, I felt like it was all the big bands toured together. Mm-hmm. It was all about camaraderie, and then it seems like I don't know if it happened when Warped Tour went away, but it seems like there's so much competition that began to happen, and it might have been happening too when Warped Tour was happening. I just didn't. I wasn't.
I think
maybe
it still
as paying
was
attention
back then, but
I was. Yeah.
I think it's gotten worse. Like there was definitely a shift when Warped went away.
Absolutely, there was.
Do you have any moments like that you completely failed and fell on your face that you can think of that kind of helped push you to get to where you are today?
Sometimes I think about when I quit Underminded, when I quit my first band. Like I was in such a place where I felt like I was dragging everybody, and I'm sure there was probably some ego involved in that from my end, where I look back on it now and I wish that I would have given that band like another year or two. Like I would have just saw it through a bit more. I think it was kind of abrupt when I was like, I'm fucking done with this. And I know at the time was probably, I don't know. That's tough. I feel sometimes I don't live with regrets, but I feel like sometimes I failed, like the other people in the band, but also myself for not seeing it through a bit more. I also firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. I'm sure, you also agree that,
of course,
all failures I view as like positive things. Like I think I honestly feel like it's good to fail. It's good to have those moments where
you learn the most in those moments.
Absolutely, yeah. And that like removes ego. If we didn't fail at shit, like what will we learn from?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what will we learn to like carry with us that we won't do again, or that we could tell somebody else and pass that knowledge down of like, hey, I did this in this situation. I'm just saying like maybe that's not the best thing for you to do. So it's good to have those failures, I think that sometimes failures can feel very defeating and people feel like they can't like get back up and try again, but it's important that you do.
How come, I'm curious about this. How come at this stage in our lives, right, we are okay admitting that ego, because ego is a word that can be harsh sometimes, right? Like, how come we're okay admitting now that ego played a factor in a lot of things? Because I don't have any problem saying, that was my fucking ego. I was trying to figure this out, and my ego was in the way.
We're getting older. We're much less insecure about our insecurities, if that makes sense.
I don't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But you know what? There's still people I know in this industry and even in my age demographic that still have a fucking ego. Yeah. That have that. And I think there's differences with ego. Like there is a healthy ego.
I was going to follow up with that as well. Exactly.
But there's also toxic egos.
Yes.
And I know that still exists, but I think that's more just bred from like levels of insecurities and other things that play into that.
It fully stems from insecurities.
That's what it came from me. I've since learned that, like, all the times that I was loud and obnoxious and aggressive, it was because I didn't know what I was doing in that moment, and I had to, they always say be bigger than the bear, and that's what I felt like I had to do in that moment as a TM and a lot of facets of life. But because the stereotypical tour manager is abrasive, obnoxious dickhead.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I ran into situations that I was uncomfortable in or didn't know what I was doing in that moment, what do I think to do? Well, what does a stereotypical TM do? All right, cool. I'm going to be abrasive, obnoxious, and being a dickhead.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll get my way because this person isn't going to want to deal with me. And it worked a lot of times. But then a lot of times I get probably rub people wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think back now and I'm like, man, I wish I didn't act that way, or I wish I didn't handle that situation that way. But that goes back to failure. With failure comes experience, and you have to go through those things to continue to develop.
Absolutely. I know we talked about you having mentors. Was there any advice or anything like that they gave you that has really stuck with you the most? Like even at this point in your career, like you look back on, and you're like, that's like that advice is part of what got me here, and like you try to keep in mind.
This is a huge circle back. This goes back to when we first started talking about on this of just being a good person, being someone that's easy to be around, someone that shows up, doesn't give excuses, that just wants to have fun. That's easy to be around. Will take you so far in in probably many industries, but I think in this industry for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that was really instilled in me early on from my mentors was like, yeah, it like write great music and be great at your instrument, but also be a good human being. Treat people with respect, treat people with kindness. And I know that that was something that was brought up to Sirens that Ron had expressed to them before they reached out to me was like, Nick is just, he's a guy that he's not going to be crazy on the road. He shows up when he needs to show up. He'll get what needs to get done. And he's easy and cool to be around. And I've always worked on having not even worked, but it's important to me to have that reputation of like, I mean, I'm not a great guitar player, but I do pride myself on like just being kind to others. And I feel like that if I could ever give advice to anyone in this industry, it's that. Cause it's like you said, Chris, like I would take a crew member on the road that maybe is kind of green, maybe, and still is a little rough around the edges with his job. But if he's like the coolest, chillest dude to be around, I'll forever keep that guy on tour.
100%.
Because that means more to me than being the most amazing guitar tech or the most amazing front of house guy. Like attitude.
Well, you have to live with these
personality
people.
Goes.
I don't give a fuck how great you can fix a guitar. If you're an asshole, I do not want you around
I don't give
me.
a shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck if you can build a guitar out of fucking sticks you found in the woods. Get away from me.
Yeah, if you suck as a human being, like it's never going to work.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like that was probably something that was really instilled to me early on when I got into this. Was like part of it is just attitude.
Yeah,
and the importance of just showing up, and like that's such a multifaceted thing. And that was something that Joel Madden from Good Charlotte, when they managed us, that was something that we talk about all the time. Of just anything in life, like all you gotta do is just show up, man. And that's like that's as a person, that's as for him as a father, a husband, being on the road for your fans, like just gotta show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Madden Brothers, I have 2 points that I wanted to say, and then we can move forward. I will attest to Nick being the most kind, gentle dude. And when I don't know if the whole time, but he was sober for a lot of. He was in process of quitting. Are you still sober, or do you?
No, I introduced alcohol back in January of last year. It's been great.
Okay. He had got sober. That's a
whole other story. Like my sober journey is a whole thing.
He had got sober for a while.
It kind of happened on accident. I wasn't even
and
planning.
It was crazy. He would be in bed, like he'd go do the show, go to shower, and go to bed.
Oh, I still do that now. Even though I drink again, I still do that now.
That's me too.
The only aggressive Nick you would hear is, "Hey, close that door." That was it, though. Other than that, Nick was. I loved my time touring with Nick.
I appreciate that.
But then the Madden Brothers, man. Chris, I don't know if you went to this Good Charlotte show with us when we were kids.
All right, Nick, you got to understand, this is a thing that Josh does all the time. It's not the first time it's even happened on this podcast.
I don't even do it on purpose.
You got to understand that me and Josh did grow up together, but I was, a few years younger than him. I couldn't just fucking go to shows all the time. So Josh,
not my fault. Your parents were more strict.
Josh, it was that my parents were strict, or that you were a problem child and just did whatever the fuck you wanted anyway.
Probably both.
Probably that.
Damn, called out.
So Josh,
I got no denials here.
Josh will constantly be like, "Hey, remember this sick fucking show we all went to?" And I'm like, "No, you went without me, you asshole." So here's another one. Here's another one.
Good Charlotte was playing at the Record Theater in Towson. I don't know if you know that room or not, but
I don't know.
Actually, I heard the record's back. I just saw it on a.
And they made it much nicer because it used to be a piece of shit, but it's pretty nice now.
It was crazy. Anyway, Good Charlotte was playing. It was sold all the way out. So we were just out there skateboarding. Benji comes off the bus and asked to use one of our boards to fuck around, right? So we're just out there fucking around. This is like Good Charlotte when the self-titled album was out. So like long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was just hanging out. He was like, "Y'all going to the show?" We're like, "Nah, it's sold out. We couldn't get tickets." And he was like, "Do you want to go?" We're like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right." We were like, "Well, we don't have anywhere to put our boards." He's like, "Cool, I'll put them on the bus for you." So he threw our boards in the bus, took us in the side door, let us in the show. After the show, we came out, knocked on the bus, got our boards, and went on our way.
So fucking cool.
I will never forget that.
That sounds like Benji, man.
He's like
one of the
cool.
sweetest human beings you'll ever meet in your life.
That's
man.
so
And
cool.
I don't know him at all. I've only met him once or twice in passing on when we did Warped Tour, and they were doing, I think, a couple shows or whatnot. But I'll never forget that. It was just such a cool thing, and we had so much fun. Good Charlotte. If you've never seen Good Charlotte live, they are one of the best live bands I've ever seen. It's so much fun. The show is just so much fun.
Yeah, and you don't realize like how many Good Charlotte songs you know.
Bro,
and then they play, you're
so
like, oh
many.
Shit, I forgot about this song. Like, oh shit.
I'm gonna listen to Good Charlotte after this because they have so many.
Good, man.
The self-titled record is so good.
Yeah, bangers.
Before Sirens, would you say you were more known for Underminded or for? I'll emphasize the band. I noticed you did that earlier. The band Drugs.
Yeah, I always say I don't want to be known for drugs.
Right.
I was probably before Sirens, probably more known for Isles and Glaciers and Drugs. Yeah.
Oh, even over Underminded?
Yeah. What's crazy now, though, current day, I feel like over the last like 2-3 years, more and more people bring up Underminded to me than any of my other projects, which is so weird, very random.
You should do a reunion.
Thinking about it, I think. What I guess I'll talk about it here. But I started.
Mind reader?
Where I'm starting a project with a couple friends, and I think that ultimately, I don't think it will be Underminded, but it's in that vein. And I anticipate and imagine that I would want to play some Underminded songs, like no matter what, within the project. Wow. And this is not in a self-deprecating way, but I really just don't think enough people would give a shit about Underminded if I like brought that back, and that's fine. Like there's zero ego attached to that. So I think just like doing something in that vein for fun as a side project, but also sprinkling in some of those songs would just be a good time. That's
an interesting, safe way to do it.
Yeah. And also, I don't think that all the originals from that, like some of them don't even play music anymore.
Sure.
I don't know how I feel about like bringing that back without them either.
Yeah,
I can see that feeling a little bit weird for sure.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I'd rather like I wrote a majority of the songs, so I feel okay with like starting a project that's similar. Yeah, sprinkling some of those in. Starting to work on that.
Nice,
interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I like the concept of that. Because it's like I said, you don't want to do something old that wouldn't be able to involve everybody.
Yeah, and I also don't think, like I said, I don't think enough people would care that much.
Well, that's what I mean. So this is kind of a safe way to kind of do both.
Yeah,
kind of neat. I like that.
So we'll see how that goes. You got the inside scoop, first scoop.
I'm interested to hear your perspective on this topic because you are somebody, the majority of these conversations have been either young bands or somebody who's seasoned, but you're still
seasoned,
you're like in the middle.
Seasoned in the sense that we had Brian from Shadows Fall on, who's like was in a band, they got real big, they went away for a while, they're like just starting up again. You're still actively out there doing the damn
that's
thing.
What I was going to say. Yeah. Nick is in the middle because he came up the hard way, but he's still relevant today. Right.
Still ticking.
We're, how have you guys had to adjust your approach to, even writing wise? Like now, are you still writing a collection or are you writing single by single and trying to, fit into that mold? Like how have you had to adjust?
I think we're still an old fashioned band of like, we like to cut a record, cut an album. Yeah. Sorry, not a record. Yeah. But like right now we're working on a record with Will Yip, and
what a legend.
Dude, like one of the sweetest, kindest dudes ever. Amazing to work with, like so insanely creative. And like his background is crazy. He does Turnstile, but he also does the Bouncing Souls and the Menzingers. Like he just he just does so much. He's so creative. But this is the first record since the band's second record where we're all in a room together writing, every single member. So
that's cool.
Like maybe we'll kind of work on some things at home and bring them. But for the most part, we've just been getting in a room together, old school style, like just like how we started our bands in the first place.
That's awesome.
And writing the record together from scratch. And it's been incredible. It is like one of the most gratifying experiences that I've had in a really long time. And we're just capturing things together. And the great thing about the band is that everyone are great players. Like everyone is good at their instrument. So it's been really easy to just finally be in a room together and just like go back and forth, as opposed to how we typically have been writing for however many years now, just writing some things at home, send it to Maddie to program some stuff over. Kellen will throw some basic vocals over it at home. Whereas now we're just like doing all of that together. To be where we're at now, like the we've kind of mentioned it a few times, like we just want to be having fun. Like if we're not enjoying this, then like let's just stop doing it. So I think that's just what can we do with this band that just makes everyone happy and that we're having fun. Like Joel, Matt used to always say to us, like, we have the coolest jobs in the world. We're not brain surgeons. We're not saving lives every day on the front line. Like we're just artists. Like we just get to play in a band. Like, like when you view it on a very molecular thing that way, like we're just here to have fun. Like we're just a bunch of dudes that just like love music and just like want to play music and be in the industry. Like it's not that serious. So I think just for us, it's just staying focused every single day on having fun. If anything is like sucking the life out of that, or we feel like it's not fun, then like let's figure out how to make it fun.
I don't write music, but I think that there's something to say with the chemistry that happens when you're in a room together.
Yeah.
Like I've never been a fan of the remote writing thing, and I don't write, but in management I have to, obviously deal with this stuff, and I've never been a fan of the remote stuff because, I just feel like getting in the room together creates a chemistry that it's like, oh fuck, I got to go in here and turn this song in, so let me stop watching my favorite movie and go record some vocals for a little while. Or I just put the kids to bed. Let me go in here and record some guitar parts while I have the time. There's something to be said about dedicating X amount of time, getting together and building that creative chemistry, at least in my brain, that produces something more magical than, well, let me jot this down. Okay, I'll send it over to Australia, for instance, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. He'll send it to Oregon or wherever Kellen is. And, like, I don't know.
Well, it's hard for us to do. I'm sure, Chris, you know this too. I mean, we all live in different states or a different country. No one lives close to each other. So now it's almost like a luxury if we can all be in a room together. I mean, Kellen's got a family. He's got kids. Like, we're all older. We all have lives. Like, and it's not like how we were when we were 16 and be like, cool, after school, like meet you in the basement, we'll jam. Like, it's just not that's not like our reality anymore. So having now that luxury that, can get into a room together for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time and just jam and just write is amazing. But we've been so used to the remote writing for a long time. That's just how we operated. It still works. It's just a different approach. And for a lot of bands that works and that rules. And for us, I think we just wanted to take a different approach to this record. We could have just done the thing where Kellen, Tony, our guitar player, me, just go out to LA, hammer out some songs in a week and then send it to everybody and just start getting the ideas flowing like that. But the approach has just been a bit different, a bit just like old school. Like what was fun when we first started playing music, and it was just getting in a room with our friends. And that's what we wanted to capture on this. So it's just, as we get older, just wanting to find those different ways to keep this fun, to keep this interesting, and to keep everybody
I mean, this far in your career, it's nice to find the little things that do remind you about why you even started doing this in the first place. It almost like reignites the love of doing it again.
1,000%. 1,000%.
I know earlier we talked about how, people don't really consume, like, they don't sit there with the physical product and like read through the liner notes and stuff. And like, or, it's more about TikToks and all this stuff now to get your stuff. Are you guys, you're in the studio recording music. are you also now like, and you don't have to tell us exactly what you guys are thinking if you are, but have you guys started thinking about how you're going to try to break through all the fucking noise that's out there now to get anybody's attention to even listen to the stuff? Like, I feel like you can't release records the way that we used to, they'll like, throwing up a post, well, there's a new single out today, record dropped, like that just doesn't work. And and this is a perfect example. You can look at the way that A Day to Remember is rolling out their record right now, which is
I love that.
Which is
I bought
genius.
the vinyl. They got me.
It's genius.
Yeah.
It is. And
I got mine over here.
To be fair, it's like
I love it.
Maybe only a band of their size could pull something like that off, but it's like, but the more important thing is that they're not just doing a standard issue rollout. They are doing something different that makes you go, wait, what the fuck are they doing? And it makes people talk. And like, I feel like all of us have to figure that out now. I feel like the old way of putting stuff out is it like guarantees that you're just going to get lost in the chaos.
Right? Isn't it weird? Like, and it's just changing. It's evolving so much, but also so quickly. Like, because I do kind of get, and I'm kind of down with the just like drop music when you feel like it.
Yep.
Like we got a couple songs that we're stoked on. Let's just drop them.
Yep.
But then there's that battle where I'm like, I want to release like a whole body of work.
Yep.
That can only hope and pray that people want to listen to front to back. But are they going to do that? Probably not.
Right.
So yeah, we haven't even started digging into kind of the rollout or marketing of all this yet. So it'll be interesting when that time comes.
Do you think you're going to start seeing more bands try the Day to Remember approach? Because it's interesting. Like, you can only get it. You can only listen if you get the physical.
I mean, it feels like the only way to make people buy physical product these days.
It's that. For sure.
Unless you're a vinyl collector.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think more than anything else, it gets people talking.
Yep.
So whether or not people end up buying the physical or not, they just wait another few weeks till it's streaming. Like, even just the fact that they did that is a talking point. It's a marketing point. It gets people's attention. I got it too.
I was having FOMO.
I had FOMO. I was bummed when I didn't get, like, I clicked on the vinyl variant that I wanted, and then went to check out and it was sold out. It was whatever.
Oh, you got the red and white.
I got
sold out.
Yeah, I wanted to get it. The one I wanted sold out. I ended up getting.
I got the green and orange one.
Maybe that's the one I got too.
It's pretty fucking cool, actually. I was probably more stoked on it than not, but
I didn't open it yet.
Are we doing an unboxing video now?
Yeah, we're doing an unboxing.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's
right?
real sick.
Yeah.
It looks like,
did we get the same one? We got the same.
Yeah,
same one?
we did.
That's like
nice.
Nickelodeon colors. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Dude.
It's cool.
But dude, their inside is sick. This is
all of it.
I love it.
They always have the coolest concept for art and just the coolest ideas. They put a lot of thought into that stuff, and you can tell.
A Day to Remember they got to be one of my top favorite bands of all time. Not only because I think that I haven't listened to a bad song, but also they're the best human beings.
They're great dudes. Yeah.
Yes.
Ever,
and great live band.
Yep.
They're just excellent. Their show's fun. But even then, like, they always go out of their way to make you feel like you're a part of the family.
Yes.
And that I mean, I've been thankful to do a few tours with them now, and man, I love them. I will support them forever.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about, this even goes back to something we were talking about earlier too, with like putting a hand down and giving people opportunities and helping out where you can. Like, how many bands have they taken out and given huge opportunities? I mean, the last US tour they did, they they're in arenas, and they took out that hardcore band Pain of Truth, and like that band's really buzzy and cool right now, and like growing on their own, but
they ain't playing no arena,
right? But then to toss them into an arena, like, that's a really fucking cool thing. It's just because it is like the band, and like, that's awesome. More bands should be doing cool shit like that.
I agree.
I love that.
Yep.
And I agree.
Yep.
I agree 100%. So was your first Warped Tour with Sirens in 2014?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, I had done so many Warped Tours. Like, the first Warped Tour I played was in 2003.
Damn.
And then the first one I ever attended was 98.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Something like that.
Go way back.
97, 98. Yeah, Warped Tour was a game changer for me. What's your question?
I just feel like that in 2014, Sirens was probably the biggest band on Warped Tour.
It was wild.
It was insane.
Sirens is one of those bands, like, it was like when I got to Europe UK with them, I didn't even know the band. I wasn't a fan. So like when Kellen asked me to play, I had never really heard their music before.
That's even crazier, to be honest.
Yeah, but I knew that they were popular,
Sure.
but I didn't know like the level until I went to Europe UK with them. I was like, "Who the fuck are you guys?
What did I just step into?
Like, what is this insanity?"
What was that? What was that like walking into that chaos?
I mean, more than anything, I was more like awed by them. I was just like, because they were just everyone in the band was just so cool. Like there wasn't ego and no one thought they were in like this level of a band, but you know, from the outside, I'm like, bro, like you guys are crushing it out here. Like this is next level.
I remember, because when I first met them, it was probably All Stars Tour 2011, and they were opening with Memphis in the side room, and then it was like we blinked, and it was like just fucking chaos. What do you think these kids and bands are missing these days without Warped Tour? Because that shit changed my life, man.
Completely changed my life.
I talked to Kevin and I told Kevin he should also write a book, because
oh man,
I'm like, man,
imagine.
He's got to write a book.
But I asked him, like, do you really realize the impact that you have had on this generation?
Oh, dude, he shaped like so many people. He shaped me.
I mean, so many of the bands in our world kind of owe their careers to him and Warped Tour, if you think about it.
100%. 100%. I mean, that was, man, they'll just never be that again, I don't think. I mean, there's a bunch of amazing festivals now, and Warped Tour's coming back, which is amazing, but like to have that full summer, 2.5, 3 month insanity of a circus, like
rock and roll summer camp.
Hundreds of buses,
dude, man, that was like some of the best summers of my life, and where you just met so many people, like to this day, like where I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for those summers. Like, there's no way. Like I know that I would not be here if it wasn't.
No way.
And those summers that humbled me. I mean, like 2004, Underminded was on it, and we were opening up the Smart Punk stage. It was the first year Smart Punk had a stage. And the only way that we were allowed to do the tour was if we built the stage and broke it down every single day. And we're talking a multi-platform stage. It wasn't just like a crank stage. Like we had to build these pallets, and they were fucking heavy. But that summer that was when I became from a boy to a man. That. Like
you did that?
That changed. Like that was hard work. Fuck. Not getting paid,
doing that all day, and then those drives for that tour are not
dude, we did
short.
In the van, dude. It was terrible. It was so hard. Man. But that summer was a game changer, because on our stage was Under Oath when Chasing Safety. It came out that summer, and literally watching that band explode every single day, like seeing where the first day we started that to the end of that tour, like they completely outgrew a stage in 2 months. You know what I mean? And
crazy.
We have From First to Last on there when Sonny was in the band. There was The Blood was on it. There's all these amazing bands, and Avenged was on the main, and
crazy.
Fall Out Boy. Like it was just such a wild summer, but a summer that completely changed me. Man.
Here I am thinking about pushing gear to the Ernie Ball stage, and this man's talking about
building the stage from the ground up.
And
dude, we had to help all the bands every single day, and pushing shit through the mud, pushing our shit through the mud.
Oh my god,
the hardest summer of my life, but the most.
I'm tired for
fun.
you.
Yeah, but all of that like just keeps me so humble and grateful and appreciative every day. Like when I wake up in the mornings to this day on a bus, I'm just grateful every single day, man.
Yeah, I mean, having experiences like that make you realize how special like the good moments are. And not to say that summer probably wasn't good. I'm sure that you still had so much fucking fun even in the middle of all the work, but knowing how hard you had to work makes you really appreciate things like having a bus, having crew, having a bunk to go to at the end. Like that, you appreciate that stuff so more when you have something like that Warped Tour summer you're talking about to like really keep it into perspective for sure.
Dude, perspective so much. You just cherish every single moment, man.
Yeah.
Cherish every single moment.
I'm curious, do you have like a holy shit, like I fucking made it moment in your career? Because like I can think back and things shifted for me really quick because I was in a band before the Ghost Inside called Texas in July, and before that I played I played in a local band that I like booked Texas, became friends with them because of that. Their guitar player quit right after they signed their record deal with Equivision, and I jumped in, and we were basically like off to the races. I went from playing local shows to maybe 100 people to supporting our first support tour, which was about 3 months after I joined the band, was with We Came as Romans on their first real big, like big headliner in like 1,500 to 2,000 cap rooms, sold out. And I remember walking out to a crowd of 2,000 people in a sold out room for the first time and being like, how did I get here? This is fucking crazy. Like, and we were getting paid $100 a night, but that was the first time I remember going, I did the right thing. I'm in the right place. Like, do you remember that first moment for you being like, I fucking did it?
Yeah, I think it was probably when I was in drugs. We played Warped Tour, and they decided to put us on the main stage, and that was the first time I'd ever played on a main stage at Warped. I remember just how insane it was. Like you couldn't see where the crowd ended, and it was just there were just so many people singing along to every song, and that was definitely just one of those moments of it was a holy shit moment. And I remember we played the main stage in Michigan, which I guess you kind of would consider like the hometown of the band.
Oh, sure.
And I remember hearing later that there was nobody else at any other stage when we played. Like They couldn't fit everyone in the festival in the main stage area where we were playing because it was that packed. And I
Drugs or Sirens?
In Drugs.
Okay.
And I just remember, and that was a holy shit moment. That whole kind of summer being on the main stage, like the first year when I played Warped Tour in 2003 was under a tent,
right?
And it's just those little dreams that you just never think are going to happen, but then when they do happen, and on that level and of that insanity, that's just like definitely a holy shit moment. Was main stage on Warped Tour for sure.
I wanna skip now to more of a personal level. When you look in the mirror, are you proud of 42-year-old Nick Martin? Like
current day proud?
Yeah.
I am proud, yeah. I think that it's probably taken me a long time to feel that though, It's I've struggled my whole life with my self-esteem and my confidence, and like being an introvert and being quiet. I've just always struggled like being able to give myself a pat on the back. And I feel like it's only been maybe in the last few years of my life where I've done that, and even then I've struggled through that. I think for me it's being more focused on celebrating smaller personal wins. It could be the smallest thing, but just patting yourself on the back along the way, as opposed to just always being so hard on myself and feeling like I have to be a people pleaser and I have to do everything perfect and I can't let anybody down, and the power of saying no and standing up for yourself. Like, dude, 42 years old, and to this day, I admittedly like still struggle with those things, but I think I can say I'm very, very proud of myself. I've gone through a hell of a lot in my life, and even over the last couple of years, every day I just treat like every single day is a new day to just work on myself and be better and be the best version of myself. And again, those little baby steps forward are something to always like pat myself on the back for, and that's been hard. It's hard for me to
absolutely
like say, I'm proud of you, Nick, like that makes you like, even saying that like makes me feel kind of like icky and uncomfortable, but it's important but it's important to do that, but it doesn't mean it's not hard.
I feel a lot of those struggles, and I also, the main thing for me is like, even if I set a goal for myself and I achieve it, or I put myself on the path to achieve it, I still can't accept that I've done something good. It's like, well, why didn't you do more then? If you could get to that goal, why didn't you go past that goal? And like, that's my constant internal struggle of like, hey man, just give yourself the little wins, Like it's really tough. It's okay. Just give yourself little wins. You're allowed to do that.
It is tough. And it's always very important to have that kind of doing it on your own and being able to in yourself say, I'm proud of you. Good job. But I do think it's important to surround yourself with people that also encourage you and support you, and even in your little wins, celebrate with you too.
Yeah.
It's always important that you're able to do that on your own, but it definitely helps having people in your corner and like loved ones that aren't going to say, well, why didn't you go further? Like, why didn't you do more with that?
Right.
Like having those people in your life that support you in everything that you're doing, celebrating the small wins, definitely helps you with also feeling proud of yourself, you know, and those people that say that to you, that are like, yo, you should be proud. Like, like, I saw what you did.
You should be.
You should pat yourself on the back.
I tell you, as a friend, you should be.
I appreciate that.
You should be.
I appreciate that.
You should be.
And it's good to have that. I think, you know, you start entering that like world and conversation of like masculinity and like being proud of your friends and like telling your boys you love them and that you're proud of them. And I think, again, like having people in your life that just love you and celebrate you and able to say that and convey that and express that, like, man, that makes life infinitely fucking cooler.
Yep.
It does. We talk a lot on here too about like the hard times and the mental struggles that come with being on the road. Did you ever struggle with any of that stuff, or do you have kind of practices that help keep you grounded? Or
yeah, I mean, I've struggled on the road before. I think now, for doing it this as long as I have, I know like what works on the road for me, what keeps me grounded.
Yeah,
I think it's incorporating elements of home life to road life, and you're talking about the smallest thing, that it's like finding a cool coffee shop in the morning. It's you know, just FaceTiming with a loved one back at home, your parents, girlfriend, whatever it is, like having more routine on the road that feels a bit like home. Because I know you guys know that touring and being home are two completely different worlds that people will never understand unless they live it.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
When you're at family function, they're like, so how's life on the road? And you can't,
there's no way to fully convey that. Yeah.
No, you can't, because it's a completely different universe.
Yep.
And I think for me, I just had to find ways to keep it it's still two very different things, but not so extreme that like when you get home, you're like in shock. And and vice versa. Like when you get on the road, you're like, shit, what am I doing out here?
Right.
Like being able to kind of marry both of them so that they don't feel so polar opposite. And that's what keeps me healthy on the road, is having a bit of like home involved in what I do. Like what I would do here at home today, like going to get coffee in the morning, writing a little bit, or talking to a loved one. Like I try to do the same thing when I'm on the road.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I used to give the analogy, being on tour was like going 60 mile an hour into a brick wall when you got home.
Oh yeah.
Because it was always like go, 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 go. And then you get home and like everything stops.
Yeah. You're like, you're like, wait, there's no sound check. There's no load in.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I feel like my first few days at home, I have like a constant anxiety of like, I should have to be somewhere right now. Like what? It's so weird.
Yes.
Do y'all ever struggle when people, or like you said, when you're at a family function, they're like, so how, I saw you were in London. How was that? Like, do you ever struggle with answering those questions? Because I do. Like when it almost makes me, it's so normal to me.
Yep.
To go to London or go to here, to go to there, whatever. It's so normal. Yeah. And I don't want to come across like I'm bragging or like I'm a dick. So like I struggle with how do I answer this question? Like I feel almost weird talking about it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's still weird, because then you're also talking to maybe to people that have never even left the country.
Exactly,
you know, that never even left their town.
Yep.
And they're like, so what's London like? You're like, I don't know where to start. Like I don't know.
I feel the same, man.
I think people also don't get that, like, you don't really always get to see shit. Like they don't grasp the time frame of being on tour, because like the bus will park at like 7 or 8 a.m. I might not wake up till noon. Then I've got shit to do all day, and then we're out of there.
Sure, I wish I could sleep till
you know. I mean, I don't actually. That's visual territory, but you know, and then you're out of there. But before you know it, it's like, you know, I might not even get to see the fucking town you're asking me about, other than the venue. Yeah. You know, I try to, but I don't always get to. So I don't know. Like sometimes that also makes it weird too.
It does, and sometimes I feel kind of like a dick when someone at a function or in a gathering, whatever, and someone's like, hey, have you ever been to, this list like a random country or something? And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, wait, no, I think I had been there.
Right.
I think I was there for a day.
Right.
And they're like, you don't even know if you've been to something Norway. We were like,
it's fucking hard to keep track.
It is, yeah.
I have an app.
Kind of
There's
like
an app.
Yeah.
There's an app that you can get on your phone, and it'll tell you like the percentage of the world that you've seen. It's kind of
I need to get that because I'm curious.
It's called Ben app. I'll send it to you. How about this gigantic tour you guys are about to go on? You talked a bit earlier today about your history with Pierce Veil. So that's going to be massive.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to show up to that one.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a struggle. Might sell a couple tickets.
I mean, it's been a couple years in the making of making this tour happen, and it was crazy to see the venues that we were going to be doing, and then it was crazier once the tickets went on sale and they were selling out in the first 10 minutes. Madison Square Garden was gone in like 15 minutes.
That's insane.
We're doing 3 nights at the Forum in LA. I still can't like wrap my head around it. It's definitely going to be a tour where I really want to be so present and just like cherish every single moment, because
I'm trying to go to your page right now and look up when.
Yeah.
Madison Square
you guys got to
Garden
cruise out. If there's any crossover, like we're around, you guys are around, like you guys got to come hang, man.
Tell us about these new cold brew cans that Charlie Royal's working on.
Yeah, I just saw the first like can like design mock-up for everything. So we're hoping to have everything brewed and canned by the end of April. So I'll be able to go on tour with all of the cold brew and just get completely jacked up on my coffee every day.
Yes.
That's been like the a dream of mine, is to be able to finally can this. And we're finally at a place and at a point where we can make it happen. So I'm amped, dude. I'm so stoked. So I got a bunch of meetings coming up about the whole rollout and marketing of it, and just fucking amped. I'll send you guys some cases if you guys want to.
That would be
get down
awesome.
on some cold brew. I got you.
I do. I do. I have some really fond memories of getting coffee with you. And there's one picture that Facebook and Instagram continue to remind me of.
Where were we?
In the Swiss Alps.
At
the bottom of the Swiss Alps.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Sick.
The photo?
Right by the water over there.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, that photo continues to pop up in my memories, and every time I'm like, "Fuck, man!"
What a damn good memory! What a damn good day,
I feel
man.
so grateful that, like, man, it's tough when you're in the moment because you always feel like, yeah, we'll be back here next year or next, in 6 months we'll be back, and when you stop touring, like I have, you start remembering those moments, and man. I tried really hard not to take it for granted, but I always tell people now, man, go experience shit. Do not take this shit for granted, because it was, some of the best times.
Hell yeah.
Chris, you want to move into the day sheets?
Yeah. So Nick, we do a lightning round in our show that we call our day sheet. So I'm just going to throw some questions at you. Just hit us with whatever that first gut response is.
Sweet.
All right.
The day sheet.
The day sheet. Yeah. Cool. So, worst travel experience on tour.
Worst travel experience. I love it, but touring South America is pretty hellish, where you're flying every other day, and you got to play a show and maybe sleep for 2 hours, and you're going to an airport, and then you fly in that day and you have to play another show.
Yep.
And yes, like it's a different level of touring, and
we did that circuit last year too, and it's like the shows are awesome, but that travel is rough. It's the same thing with like Southeast Asia and stuff. It's like, oh my god, the shows are awesome. The travel's brutal. Yeah, fortunately, we haven't. We just did Jakarta, and that was the first time I had ever been there. But the band had done like a full Southeast Asia thing, and to this day, they're like, that was one of the most intense travel itineraries ever. Yeah, it's rough. So yeah, probably South America, but I love it, and I want to go back so bad because the shows are so sick. Yeah. If you weren't a musician, what would you be doing?
If you asked me this when I was a kid, I would have said a magician.
Okay.
I either wanted to be a magician or a musician. Current day, I think at this point, like I still just want to always be in the industry.
Sure.
I would love to manage at some point, and again, that kind of falls into the wanting to pass along the knowledge that I've had and just help others succeed and fucking win. So managing at some point would be what I want to do if I wasn't doing this.
Nice. Do you have a hidden talent?
Magician.
What sucks is I'm awful. Shit, I'm bad. I can barely do card tricks. I'm fucking horrific. A hidden talent. I'm what you would be considered double or triple jointed. I have the craziest fingers. You ready?
Whoa.
My guy. That's intense.
Bro, you should go on America's Got Talent. Look at this shit.
My thumbs are all fucked up, dude.
Look at that, dude. Holy crap.
That's my hidden talent, bro. Yeah.
Wow. That hurts my fingers.
It kind of hurts when I do it a lot.
Is there a movie that you can quote start to finish?
Yep. Probably That Thing You Do, Forrest Gump, Shawshank
movie.
Redemption.
Not a bad one in that bunch. Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like That Thing You Do is such a wildly underrated movie. I fucking love the movie so much.
I watched it again recently, and it just still hits, man.
It's so good.
Such a good movie. Yeah.
What's your favorite karaoke song? You've never seen Josh. Get off this episode now and go watch it.
Josh, you need to listen to Metallica. Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. I feel like you actually would really like it a lot.
You would love that
thing you do.
Yep.
Huh? Yeah. All right. I'm going to check it out.
Do you have a favorite karaoke song?
What's funny is that I am terrified of karaoke.
Sure.
So
me too.
In the past, I've done Alice in Chains with our bass player Justin.
Okay.
Completely hammered at a bar, but
as one does.
This is a crazy, weird, random. I'll try to keep a quick story. But over the weekend, Caleb Shomo from Beartooth, his wife Floor.
Actually, I saw this post. I didn't even think about this when I asked it. I saw the post. Yeah,
we were celebrating her birthday, and she had for months had kept saying, "I want to get a bunch of different guys from different bands, musicians to just like play just like a handful of songs." And I think for a lot of us, we just kept on thinking like, "Oh, she just messed it. Like that would be really funny." Blah blah blah.
Right.
But then as it got closer, Caleb was like, "We're rounding up some people to play some songs. Like she wants us to play some songs." So I had to sing Lionel Richie's "All Night Long."
Let's go.
With Caleb on guitar and Tosh on drums and Sky on bass. It was insane. And then,
dude, it looked like so much fun.
Yeah, and then I played guitar on if you like pina coladas. And then when I finished playing, I handed my guitar to Wes Borland, and then Wes Borland played Power of Love and a couple other songs, and Caleb was singing. It was just like this crazy super group of people. Just a crazy night.
All the stories I saw just looked like it was such a good time.
It was one of the most fun parties I've ever been to. So I guess like my karaoke song now would be "All Night Long" by Lionel Richie.
Sick.
Yeah.
First album you ever bought with your own money?
First CD I ever bought, and those with my own money, was Nine Inch Nails' Broken EP.
Okay.
Changed my fucking life.
Very solid. Very good buy.
And I had Downward Spiral already on cassette, and then went out and bought that on CD.
Sick.
So yeah, but Nine Inch Nails' Broken EP was the first CD I ever bought with my own money.
Nice. You can have dinner with any historical figure ever. Who would it be, alive or dead?
Kurt Cobain.
Solid.
But also, I mean, I love Bob Dylan, but I feel like it'd be a tough dinner. I don't think he'd be very chatty, but just to be in his presence would be very cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I'll just go with those two.
Sure. Cool. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Beach vacation.
Okay. Studio recording in the studio or live performance? Which
live performance all day. Live performance. I'm not a studio guy, admittedly.
Fair. Weirdest fan interaction?
Oh god! Actually, there's been a few. I've got a good one though. This is pretty fucked up, but it's we can laugh about it. Let's laugh about it. Is years ago. It was kind of within the first few years I started playing in Sirens. We had a meet and greet, and we were overseas somewhere, and everyone had thick accents. And this mom and her daughter come through to take a photo. The daughter is probably 16, 17, and the mom was very excited to meet us, and the they said a few nice things. We were just exchanging conversation. We're like, cool, you guys ready for a photo? So we all get in line for getting our poses or whatever. And she looks over at me and she goes, "Can you choke me in the photo?" And I thought I was like, there's no way she said that to me. So I was like, excuse me, with the accent. I was like, oh, did you say? Wait, what did you say? She was like, will you choke me in the photo? And I was like, fuck no. What is wrong with you? Like, why would your first of all, daughter or not here? Don't ask me that. But your daughter is here, and you just asked if one of us will choke you in this photo. And I was like, I've heard a lot of shit in my day, and that
well, I mean, you remember it though; it sticks out.
How did the rest of the interaction go?
It was just awkward. I was like, let's just take this photo. I was on. You know what? It was funny in the moment, but then it like really set in. I was like, that was like really shitty. Like that was like a bummer. Like to first of all be asked that, but then your daughter is there. Like, come on, right. And then I'm thinking, like, has she gone through other meet and greets and asked this bands to do this?
Probably.
What else has she let her daughter see?
Right?
That's crazy.
It's kind of dark.
That is crazy.
But we can laugh about it.
Yeah. Favorite city to eat?
Really love the food in Mexico City.
Solid. Very solid. Very solid.
You're gonna hate me. I'm kind of biased. Like LA, like the food scene here is just
you guys just have everything there.
Like everything. Yeah. Like you want good Mexican food, done. You want Italian food, done. Like, and I think that New York is probably a great spot too.
Yep.
But it's just the food here is just unreal.
Philadelphia is my favorite, but
where's your favorite cheesesteak spot? Go.
I gyms all day long.
Okay.
We had this fight because I know you boys are Ishkabibble boys, but I'm a gyms dude. But I also think Tony Luke's is also very, very good.
I don't think I've ever had it.
It's very, very good.
Okay.
But also San Diego has really good Mexican food.
Okay, San Diego is the best as far as Mexican food goes. I think all around LA has like anything that you need. But if we're going Mexican specifically, San Diego, like no one touches it. And when I hate and my biggest
is for real.
My biggest pet peeve ever is when I'm on tour and I'm anywhere but San Diego and someone goes, dude, this is bomb Mexican food spot, best tacos. I'm like,
you have no clue what you're talking about.
Stop you. Because we're gonna go there, and it's gonna if it's garbage,
it's gonna disappoint you.
You're right.
Always does.
That's how I'm about crab cakes. I'm the same way about crab cakes. Do not ask me to eat a crab cake anywhere outside of Baltimore City. Do not ask.
Agreed.
Do not fucking ask.
It's not gonna be good.
All right,
it's gonna be trash. If you got peppers and fucking weird shit, I'm out. Fuck you.
Here's the last one for you. Most underrated. Sleeping with Sirens song.
Got the wheels turning. I like this one.
It's tough. I get it, especially when you're as deep into with a collection of albums like you guys have. It just gets harder as it goes on.
Don't give him any assistance.
No, because I feel the struggle. If somebody asked me to pick the most underrated Ghost Inside song, I'd have a hard time picking one too. I get it,
bro. That's a really good question. Probably off our last record. There was a song called Sirens that I loved. That just, to be honest, I don't think many people. It's a random one that every so often people are like, "Why don't you play that song?" But yeah, I guess the song Sirens. Yeah.
This is the last question, then we'll let you go. It's my favorite question to ask everybody. If you had an opportunity to have a 5-minute conversation with Nick from Underminded right now, what would the message be?
Go easy on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, give yourself time.
That's a good one.
Like, let yourself like live a bit, evolve. You don't always have to know the answer. You don't have to be perfect. Like, go easy on yourself.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nick,
awesome.
Thank you so much for giving us so much time today. This has been so much fun.
Dude, you guys are awesome. I'm so stoked you guys started this. You guys make me want to start a podcast, man. So you guys are inspiring and motivating me. So
I can't say enough positive things about this guy, man. It's every time I remember we knew we were both going to be in Vegas, but I ran into you in Starbucks when I was with Matt and Dave, and it was like, fuck, man.
And, and we don't have to get like into the weeds with that, but like I was going through a whole lot like leading up to that day, like the 48 hours leading up to that were like in a long time, like some are like pretty dark and depressing and scary and all these things, and like just seeing you and like the kind words, like you just like on it, like you were like a breath of fresh air in a moment where I like absolutely needed that. So yeah, you're one of those guys that I'm always going to appreciate and love, and I can't say enough great things about you. So
I feel the same. So thanks again for taking the time.
Hell yeah.
And what was I supposed to text y'all about? The band that I saw. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. All right, Nick.
All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it,
Thank you
guys.
Hey everyone, Chris here, and I just wanted to take a second to say thanks for watching today's episode. You can check out more episodes of Late for Load-In on the right side of your screen and find any applicable links to this episode in the description down below. There you'll also find a link to our Patreon, which is the most direct way to support the show, and it's only $1 a month. Please consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to follow us on all social platforms, at Late for Load-In, at Chris_TGI, at Josh Carell. See you guys next week.